Hello and welcome to Legalese. My name is Vincent Perryman and I'm a local attorney with the law offices of J. Vincent Perryman. Each month, Legalese focuses on a wide range of legal issues and topics. Today's show covers tax crimes. With us now is attorney Michael Scholl of the Scholl Law Firm. Mike, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I think tax crimes is one of those things that a lot of people look at it kind of in a sexy light in a way, as far as because you're dealing with the criminal element on this. But me handling civil tax matters, clients come in and they're always concerned that since the IRS has sent them a letter, their next step is going to be to jail. So some of the purpose of this is to sort of abate those fears here. So when does a problem with the IRS rise to the level of a tax crime?
Well, the first thing everybody looks at is when they hear the word IRS or hear the letters IRS, that's exactly what they think. They think I'm going to jail or they're going to cause a lot of problems in my life. But they're definitely not easy to deal with. But in order for a tax crime to occur, there's multiple ways that can occur. Usually there has to be some kind of willful intent on the part of the taxpayer to evade the taxes or to defeat the tax code in some way. This can be done in multiple ways, such as willfully failing to file your income tax return. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing that could possibly get you in trouble. So the first thing I tell everybody is, if you haven't filed a tax return, go ahead and get to your accountant and at least file the tax return. Even if you don't have the money to pay right away, get that tax return filed, because that could lead to a federal crime if you willfully don't file your tax returns. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. The second thing is your willful failure or willful evasion of taxes, okay? And that can take place in multiple ways. That can be what we all think of evasion is someone hiding their money, not reporting their income to the IRS. Evasion can also be a person who says, well, I don't owe any money to the IRS and I'm just not going to pay you. Mm-hmm. That can also be evasion. But in order for the IRS to prove that you're guilty of tax evasion, they have to prove several things. They first have to come in and prove that, one, that you have a substantial tax due and owing. Okay? Mm-hmm. So they first have to show that this person owes taxes. So if you don't owe taxes or you're exempt from paying taxes, then they can't meet that first requirement. The second thing they have to show is they have to show some kind of act of evasion. All right? Let's say, for example, you've hidden money in different bank accounts, or you filed a false W-4 or W-2 form. Mm-hmm. Failure to file your income taxes in and of itself is not willful evasion. It's not an act of evasion, so they can't use that to show that you've been evading taxes. Third thing they must show is that you did so willfully. So if, say for example, you're a person that has looked at the tax code and you've misinterpreted it, okay, because the tax code is very complicated. They look at it, you misinterpret it, and you end up filing something wrong or doing something wrong. That's not willful evasion of your taxes. So.
Okay, yeah, and that's the other thing with this is so many people, they think, they get some notice that says they owe $600.
Right.
And they're always, and I always have to explain to them, like, $600 is not significant enough to even be going down that road of the tax crimes.
Correct. Because what you have to understand, in order for the United States government to prosecute you for tax evasion, usually they have to go through a very long list of individuals and discuss with them about whether there's an offense. And all tax evasion cases have to be approved through Washington, D.C. at the Department of Justice. So someone with a $600 bill or a $1,000 bill is not who they're going to be going to the Department of Justice about. There's approximately somewhere in the area of 200 to 300 tax evasion cases a year. Mm-hmm. And so that's not a very high number when you think of the millions of people that pay taxes.
Right, and that's the other thing that I always have to tell people is you have to think the government's going to sit here and say we need to put our resources where we're going to get our most bang for the buck, which is one of the reasons why we see Wesley Snipes cases and things of that nature.
Correct. Because what they're going to want to do is they want their money. Mm-hmm. First thing. And so they are going to try to get every opportunity for you to pay them the money that you owe them. So the first thing you should do is when you get one of these notices, either contact somebody such as yourself or make sure you're in contact with the IRS. Keeping in constant contact with them and asking them, what do I need to do to fix my problem? And that usually helps lead people along the right path. Because if the IRS sees that you're wanting to correct your problem and wanting to take care of your issue, they're going to be more inclined to work with you rather than take the long road to indicting you.
Right, and that's something that I've always noticed on the civil side with the IRS is if I've got a client who has been meeting every one of those deadlines as far as for communication, maybe not getting paid on it, it makes my job so much easier
Absolutely.
in dealing with the IRS.
Well, the first thing they're going to do when you have a criminal case is the first thing the IRS is going to bring up is how cooperative you were in talking and dealing with them. They will send you through the civil division first. And then after sending you through the civil division, a lot of times you'll see with people that have evaded their taxes or are being prosecuted for it, there's no communication with the IRS, or their communication is of the nature that you can tell they are trying to get around the system somehow.
Yeah, and that's always kind of the interesting thing too is on the civil side, I see irritated auditors, irritated exam people, sometimes chief counsel's office is irritated, but they can't get the momentum going, or well, it's not that they can't get the momentum going, it's that there's not anything rising to the level that the Justice Department is going to look at and take it further.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, what you're going to have, because of all the things you have to go through to get approved through the Justice Department, they are going to want someone that has a significant tax liability that they're going after. A lot of times they are people such as what we call tax protesters. A tax protester would be somebody that says, I read the tax code, or how I read the tax code, I'm not liable to pay any taxes, or I don't have to pay any taxes. They usually go after people like that, and people that have hidden income.
Yeah, and the IRS has actually gone so far with the tax protester positions to list them out in, I think, a revenue proc or a revenue procedure that says, if you take any of these, we will go after you.
They will. And what they will do is, and here's the first cue you have that the IRS is after you criminally. They're going to send 2 agents out to your house, all right, to try to sit down and talk with you, or they're going to say, hey, I'm Agent so-and-so from the Criminal Investigation Division. We'd like to sit down and talk with you. And they'll send 2 agents out to your house or wherever you want to meet to sit down and talk with you about this. The document you were talking about, the IRS has now put out something, and it's a proc that they put out that says, here are all the frivolous arguments that we've received, and they will go down them. We know that these have been put out on the internet. We know these have been put out through various sources. We have found these to be frivolous. Courts have found them to be frivolous. Do not follow them. If you follow them, we will prosecute you. And they will give you plenty of warning. They will send you that in response to your questions about whether taxes are legal or not, and they will proceed forward against you.
Yeah, my favorite of all those arguments is that the 16th Amendment was not properly ratified, therefore you don't have the right to do any taxes. It is funny as far as all the information that is out there, and people still they refuse to listen to it.
Well, they're coming up with new theories every day. I mean, I see them. I've represented several people that have been in that situation, and they constantly are trying to evolve those arguments. It started way back when people would say, I'm not a citizen of the United States. And then they would say, I'm not a resident of the United States. And they try to use the convolutedness of the tax code to get around all of these things. But I tell people, as sure as I'm sitting here, the tax code has been upheld to be legal, and you need to pay your taxes.
Right. And when we return, we'll continue our discussion about tax crimes. Please stay with us.